Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the DYS ELF, and this is another brushless micro drone, and it's a 2S based with 1102 motors, 10,000 kV, 83 millimeters with the little prop guards, another tiny whip style of a micro drone. But this one is a ready to fly version, and it comes with this transmitter, and a lot of you guys are asking me about this. This is a FreeSky based transmitter. I think it only does D8 S-Bus. But I think this is going to be kind of interesting to try out with maybe not only with the ELF but also with some other FreeSky receivers to see how well this performs. Kind of curious how these little gimbals perform, because they're actually toy-based gimbals, not actual real gimbals. So we'll get everything out of the box and we'll take a closer look at everything. But I think there's some specs here on the side. If you guys wanted to take a look at these. So we got 1102 10,000 kV motors and Betaflight S 10 amp ESCs. I think it's a 4-in-1. The props are proprietary, 1735 5-blade props. I don't remember seeing that anywhere else. And we've got a power switchable, maybe a 25 to 200 milliwatt video transmitter, up to 300 meters. It comes with a 600 milliamp hour battery. It says 6-minute flight time. That'll be interesting. Let's see if we can get that or not. Okay, get everything out of the box and we'll take a closer look. Okay, so here's everything out of the box. You get the transmitter, you get quad, you get a spare set of props, just one, and these are DYS branded, so probably you can get more spares from their site or somewhere else, although I haven't seen where to get these yet, so they're probably not widely available, but they probably will be eventually. Okay, so you get a 600 milliamp hour 2S LiPo, and it has a balance lead here. But it comes with this proprietary connector. I don't know what connector this is or what it's called. It looks like it's about 2 millimeters pitch, perhaps. It makes it hard to do the reviews, and you can't use any of the batteries that you happen to have. And so after you do a flight, you got to charge it. It does come with a charger, and it charges off of the balance lead here. It looks like it does 2 and 3S batteries. And what does it charge at? 1.8 amps. So it'll probably charges it at a 3C rate. It's not too bad. It'll charge it pretty quick, and it does come with an AC adapter for the charger. Manual is also included. It's in English and in Chinese, and it's actually pretty decent. I'm not going to go over this, but if you follow all the instructions in here, it's laid out in a way that it's pretty easy to understand. So and there's actually not that much to it as well. So that's that. Take a look at the transmitter here in a minute. Let's look at the quad first. And it's 83 millimeters motor to motor. And it's got a carbon plate here on the bottom. Let's get some measurements. It looks like it's just about 83 millimeters. And this carbon plate looks pretty thick. So it's about 1.8 millimeters for the carbon plate. And it feels pretty stiff because the carbon plate is pretty thick for this size. The motor guards here are actually fairly stiff as well, with a little bit of flex, so it should give in a crash. And there's a fair amount of clearance there between the motor guard and the props, so shouldn't have too many prop strikes there. Usually these props break when they hit the prop guards, but looks like about maybe a couple of millimeters, millimeter and a half there of clearance. Got some pretty nice motors here. There's the DYS motors, 1102 10,000 kV, and yeah, these are very smooth and should provide pretty good power for this size of quad. So the canopy here is actually fairly tough. It's not one of those vacuum formed ones. I think this is injected molded plastic, protecting the camera and the electronics. And I think it's the typical micro camera here, 170 degrees. That's probably like 500 to 600 TV lines. So on the bottom here, you got little feet here to balance the quad when you're taking off, and also some LEDs on the bottom of the motors there. So these little transparent legs will probably transmit the light pretty nicely in dark conditions. Okay, so on the bottom here, you've got a few things that you can see here. That's the boot button here for the flight controller. It's an F3 flight controller. Over here on the top here is the power connector for the battery. You got a little battery holder here, It's kind of blocking stuff, but then you can see back here that is the video transmitter antennas. It's kind of in a bad spot. If your receiver is facing this direction, if you're flying, say, away from yourself, you'll probably get a good signal. But then when you turn around, and now this carbon plate and all the electronics are now blocking your video signal, so you're going to get some breakup from that. So let's see how well that performs. I'll probably just fly this indoors and see what the penetration is like through walls and floors and stuff like that. Over here on this side, you got a little programming port for the OSD. So I think it might be an MWOSD, not a Betaflight OSD. I'll have to plug this into the computer and find that out. And you got a little button here that will change your frequency and bands on the video transmitter, which is 25 and 200 milliwatt power switchable. There are two LEDs right there, a red and a blue one, and you have to use those to cycle through your bands and channels, and it's a little bit tricky to use. And according to the instructions, you short press the button, and then the red light will flash, and then you go through each of the channels on the band that you're on, and then the red light will flash for each time they're on a different channel. So it'll flash once for channel 1 and twice for channel 2, etc. And then if you want to change your band, the blue light will you have to hold the button down for 3 seconds, and the blue light will flash, and then you can short press and cycle through the different bands, and then it'll flash once for band 1 and twice for band 2, etc. So it's a little bit hokey to get you to find your channel because there's no like indicator light. You have to use those little flashing lights to get to your channel. Okay, so let's see how much this thing weighs. And it comes in at about 58 grams. So a little bit on the heavy side for the small props, but they are 10,000 kV motors, so we'll have to see how it performs when we actually fly it. It might not be the greatest, but we'll have to see when we actually fly it. Okay, here's a closer look at the transmitter, and it comes with this like little tripod screw hole here for some reason. Maybe that's for a lanyard attachment, perhaps. The LED on-off switch, trim buttons here, pretty typical for this. Almost, I would say it's a toy style transmitter, but it does run OpenTX and the FreeScott protocol. A little LED or LCD screen here for your OpenTX settings. Now all of this stuff is pre-programmed in the quad. All these switches, there's 4 of them here. You got two position switches on the right and left, and then the 2 middle switches are 3 position switches. I think if the manual is correct, this one here, switch A is for arm and disarm. Switch B is for your flight modes. Switch C changes your OSD. I think there's like a couple different elements that you can turn on and off of that. And then switch D is for your buzzer. It'll activate the buzzer. Nothing here on the back, just your door for your AA batteries. And there is no external antenna, just the antenna is internal. So probably your range is going to be limited to probably, I would say, no more than 200 to 300 meters. But this is really for indoor stuff or close proximity flying anyway. The gimbals feel okay. Obviously, I don't know what the resolution is like until I actually fly it, but they do feel pretty smooth, and you get a fair amount of stick height here, so it's not too bad in terms of the feeling, but I don't think the stick height is adjustable. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug the quad into the computer, and we'll take a look at what the Betaflight settings look like. I think it's running Betaflight 3.1, so we'll take a look at that right now. Okay, so I got this plugged into the computer. Let's take a look at what we got. Betaflight 3.1.5, and the board is an SP Racing F3 board. You got a serial receiver on UART3. D-Shot 600 enabled DSCs, but they got motor stop turned on. I'm going to leave everything stock. I got a serial-based receiver S-Bus. That's already obviously pre-bound to the transmitter. And we've got 2 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz gyro and PID loop with accelerometer on. Got telemetry, transponder, and OSD. No air mode. I think that's going to be on a switch, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave the failsafe settings alone. These are the stock PIDs. Doesn't look like they did a whole lot here. Receiver. No, I have it turned on and checking the stick directions. I'm noticing that there's a fair amount of deadband in the center of these sticks, and it's to be expected because the transmitter is not a hobby grade transmitter. But it's not too bad, although I think I'm gonna have to probably add some expo here because it does kind of jump pretty quickly to the ends of the stick, so you're gonna get some jerky movements. So I'm gonna probably add a little more expo. Here are the modes, and we got arming on switch 1, and switch 2 is your flight mode. So you got looks like angle mode on the top position, horizon on the middle position, and air mode, acro mode on the bottom position. Aux 3 doesn't do anything. There's no mode there. Now supposedly it's supposed to do something to the OSD, but it doesn't look like it's programmed into Betaflight configurator. Let's double check here. Oh, I'm sorry. Scroll down, and there's OSD software, but it doesn't look like that the switch is doing anything in terms of reacting on Betaflight configurator, so it might not be programmed into the transmitter. It's supposed to turn the OSD on and off, so you get rid of some of the clutter. I saw that we're working on some other reviews, but apparently not working for mine. Okay, so I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and just fly it stock, and we'll take a look at how that performs. So right off the bat here, I can tell that this is actually fairly challenging to fly with this transmitter, and I'm discovering that the amount of deadband in the center of the sticks is making precise movements difficult. I'm more used to a traditional transmitter or hobby grain transmitter where you can do more precise movements in the center of the stick, but in the case of this transmitter, it doesn't seem to be working as well as I had expected or had hoped. So my flying is very jerky and unpredictable because in the center of the stick nothing is going on, but then as soon as I start to hit the end of the stick, all of a sudden I get a overreaction, and it's kind of hard to control. And I'm trying to fly with some precision here, but it's fairly difficult, and as you can see, I'm kind of bouncing around and crashing and stuff, and I'm not really going where I want to. So my feeling on this transmitter is that it's probably a no-go. I was hoping that it would be something a little bit different, but basically the gimbals are Xbox style toy transmitter gimbals, and they just don't perform like they do on a traditional transmitter. So if you're kind of expecting that, then I would say, yeah, definitely don't buy this for that reason. I think that perhaps with more practice I could potentially get used to this, but it's just not something that I would want to fly on a regular basis. Now you can see I'm kind of bouncing up and down here as well, and that's to do with the throttle management. The throttle management on this transmitter isn't all that great either, so I'm kind of overreacting on the throttle, and it would fall, and then I would try and recover from the fall, and then I would overreact, and you see that a lot of bobbing up and down. Okay, so here I'm flying with my Taranis QX7. I rebound the quad to that transmitter, and I'm able to fly much more precisely now. However, throttle management is still a little bit of an issue here, and I think that has to do with the fact that we got small motors and small props, and this thing is kind of a tank. It's pretty heavy. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Survives crashes really well. I mean, I didn't even break a prop in all those bashing around that I did, and you know, bounced off walls, crashed into the ground, crashed into the ceiling, and really there was not even a scratch on this thing. So if you were looking for an indoor beginner quad, this might not be a bad choice, because I don't think it'll be pretty hard to wreck it, but it is also heavy, and throttle management is a little bit tricky, because if you let go on the throttle a little bit, it will fall pretty quick. So that's something that probably you can probably get used to, but you know, I prefer lighter versus heavier like this, and I think that, in my opinion, QS indoor brushless micros are probably going to fall out of favor eventually to the 1S brushless indoor micros. I think those are lighter and are just gonna, they don't fly as fast, they don't have as much mass, they don't cause as much damage, and they probably aren't going to break as easily either. Anyway, so yeah, so the flight characteristics, I think, with a traditional hobby grade transmitter here are actually not bad, other than the fact that it is a little bit heavy. It is very controllable. As you see, I'm able to make some more precision movements, even though I end up crashing here. But I'm able to recover and keep on going. And yeah, if you're looking for something kind of indoor beginner, it's not a bad choice. If you want something really durable, this thing's pretty tough, and I don't think it'll break that easily unless you really go into something like a brick wall at full speed. Even then, I'm thinking this will probably survive that as well. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this review of the DYS ELF. Let me know if you have any questions about this. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.